Thank you for joining us. I'm Michael Miller. A very special guest today is the captain of the Village of Pinecrest Police Department, Captain Ivan Osores.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you being here. To set the record straight, last month was Autism Awareness Month, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm so glad that the Village of Pinecrest is very involved in this. So let's get that part, have that discussion about what the city is doing to help those that are not as fortunate we are, that have either autism or they have some other issues. Let's talk about what the department is doing.
Sure. The department at this time has a few programs. Closest to home, I guess, would be the programs that are serving the actual police officers. So we have a peer support team. I'm also a part of the local peer support team, and we're offering services for officers that might be struggling with anxiety, depression, all the typical problems that most of us have, right? Financial issues, relationship issues. The peer support program gives them someone to talk to, someone to open up to, and those conversations are 100% private, confidential. There's only a couple exceptions, but as far as what they disclose to us, it's confidential. And that allows them to share their experience with somebody who's in the field, who understands their background. And from that point, they can be transferred to maybe a clinician or psychologist or to another resource that they might need. So that's one of the programs that we're a part of. Also, our chaplaincy program. That's a program that Chief Cohen initiated, probably one of the first things he did after becoming our chief. And that allowed officers to make contact with spiritual leaders in our community. And we know that that's very important to a lot of the officers, a lot of their family members, and they do seem to open up a lot that way as well. And they get a lot of good direction and testimony from all of our chaplains. We have 5 different chaplains. And as far as the community goes, the program that brings me here today is the Blue Envelope program. And the Blue Envelope program, which is going to take effect on July 1st, 2026, through the state of Florida and the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. That program is designed to facilitate communication between persons with or on the autism spectrum disorder and police officers. This normally would happen during traffic stops. In Pinecrest, for example, our officers are averaging 900 to 1,000 traffic stops per month. And as we were talking earlier, 1 in 36 children, if not more, are being diagnosed somewhere on the spectrum, the autism spectrum. And inevitably, a lot of them will be motorists. And at the rate that Pinecrest pulls over or conducts traffic stops, the likelihood of us running into and making contact with a resident who is on the spectrum is high. And this program wants to make sure that we eliminate any barriers, we identify people that are on the spectrum quickly, voluntarily, obviously, and then change our tactics to make the situation less stressful. So those are our main programs right now.
I want to talk a little bit about autism. 3.5 years ago, a gentleman comes in, and he happens to be a physician, and he said, my son graduated from Eckerd College. Do you have an internship for him? He has autism. And I was cringing. And I said, is he going to start yelling? He said, no. And at that point, I'm thinking, wait, he just finished school. So silly question, but it was emotionally charged for me. And then the dad, he takes his phone out, he starts to show me some videos that he did. And I said to myself, don't look at that. You cannot judge what this father's trying to do to help his son based upon this 30 seconds. I said, absolutely. I said, 3 days, 4 hours a day. That's it. It was just like that because I was really feeling pressured. I said, okay. So he said, all right. So he comes in. He worked here for 3 years. And to watch his growth, bigger picture, everybody here grew a lot from that. It was tremendous to see how we got accustomed to, we understood that, we understand how it's different for everybody, but it made such a huge difference.
Sure.
And one of the reasons that we have a show about autism now is because of Alex. He's now working in the industry. And I call his dad. I say, I'm going to tell you that the gift your son gave us was this show about autism.
Mm.
And so I talk about it whenever I can, because we gave ourselves a chance. I didn't realize he was giving us a chance. We thought we were giving him, but we really learned a lot. I saw him not too long ago. I started crying. I'm looking at his, he's 25 or 28 now. Really does a wonderful job. And we've met a lot with the folks from NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness. And we start to recognize when people have problems and law enforcement doesn't understand it, they may interpret that as very aggressive behavior. So what is it like for the officers to go from, I don't know anything about it, except for my friend down the street has got an uncle who has that. What is that learning process like, and what do the officers say?
Well, the good thing about the Blue Envelope program, it actually brought additional training to law enforcement. So not only at the beginning of an officer's career in the academy, they are now receiving an 8-hour block on autism at the academy. Then throughout their career, they have normally a 10 to 40-hour CIT course, a crisis intervention training course with HOPSI CABA. And all of the officers at Pinecrest are CIT certified. And that allows the officers to learn a lot about different neurodivergent populations and how to best handle those situations and how they should behave. And I think you mentioned earlier, like you had maybe a preconceived notion on what autism might look like. The spectrum, that's why they mention it. It's huge. It's broad. I have an adult son who was diagnosed with autism at a young age, and he currently lives in a group home. Now, my son's condition is severe, so he's a level 3. But a lot of individuals who have the less severe form of autism, level 1, they are, productive, drive motor vehicles, and they might just have some idiosyncrasies or unique behaviors that might be mistaken for resistance or potentially intoxication. And those are the things we train the officers to recognize, right? To slow things down, don't assume, and really dig a little bit deeper. So now that they have this training, they're going to be able to recognize the behaviors and then adjust.
Many years ago, you might recall it, north end of Dade County, there was a caretaker and his autistic client. They were laying down on the street because an officer thought, whatever, it was really a bad scenario. And if I remember right, somebody got shot out of that.
The caretaker.
So, and here's the caretaker's trying to take care of his patient client, and it was really a devastating thing. But but it is hard for a police officer to say, this guy's okay, he's just being really aggressive, all right? And maybe he's a bad guy, all right? Or maybe he's autistic, or maybe he's got some problems. So the police officers really have to be on their game to figure that out in an instant, because so often it is threatening. Because, police officers, you love them when you want them, and when you don't, you want them gone. Mm-hmm. So how do the officers respond to this training? Do they welcome that? And how does it affect them?
Well, they certainly welcome it. The prevalence of autism, as you mentioned, is high. Therefore, we have other officers in the department who have family members who are on the spectrum. So they are really invested in this program. They have a lot of compassion. And how do they benefit from it? Traffic stops, domestic violence situations, those are typically the most dangerous situations that police officers respond to or are part of. And being able to de-escalate, being able to recognize certain behaviors and decipher if it's drug related or it's really an aggressive type behavior, and attribute it to whatever the person's condition is, really sets the mood, relieves the tension, and just makes it a much safer environment for the officer and the person we're dealing with.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Blue Envelope program. But before I forget, I understand that parents that have autistic children can get something put on their house when police officers show up. There's a sign that says, hey, we have somebody here that needs a little bit extra care.
Right. In Pinecrest, that program allows the resident to voluntarily provide information through dispatch, right? So they can call 305-234-2100, a non-emergency line. They can also email it to police@pinecrest-fl.gov, and they would disclose information, say the name and age of the child with autism, and maybe some of the behaviors, emergency contact information. And we could enter that into the call history, into a premise alert. That way, when officers are dispatched there, they're alerted, and now they have a little bit more information as to what they might encounter when they go to that home.
So when you go to these homes, do you have that dog with you? You still have Buddy, right?
That's a good question. We do.
And we're going to get their email, Lorenzo. I mean, could you put their phone number up and maybe their website address?
Yes.
So you're going to tell us about Buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about, right. He's Buddy, but his name is Buster.
Buster.
I confuse his name a lot. Buddy, I say Brutus. It's Buster. So Buster has been with us now for about 2 years. He was recovered in North Carolina and then brought down to the state of Florida, where he was trained by an inmate in a correctional facility. And we were fortunate enough to get Buster. And Buster is an emotional support dog. He goes out to a lot of our community events and even calls for service. And there is something so therapeutic about having a four-legged furry creature with a super disposition that just the stress really just melts off and puts everybody at ease, makes people very comfortable really quickly. And with his handler, Officer Barriga, together they make a fantastic team, and we're using them more and more and more.
So when you said he was recovered from North Carolina, tell us about that.
He was a stray dog. That was it. I don't know anymore.
So there's hope for humans then.
Yes.
Here's a stray dog that winds up getting picked up, if you will, and trained, and now he's friends with everybody.
Correct. He was recovered, trained by somebody who was in the criminal justice system for whatever reason. They were given purpose and hope. They created a service and a product by training that canine, and then the canine joins our community, and now he is a super tool, really building the community, our relationship with the community. It's just another way to reach out to people through Buster.
We all just celebrated the Village's 30th anniversary, and I think that it's wonderful. The police department's a little bit younger than that, but it's a great department. How can the other cities, there's 34 cities in Miami-Dade County, what is it that other cities might want to take a look at that you're doing that they might be able to incorporate into their programs?
That's a great question. I would say that at the heart of all of these programs, let's say our Blue Envelope program, certainly a great deal of compassion, love, and understanding, and a willingness to serve the community, especially individuals with more special needs, if you will. The other benefit that we have is that we've really worked on developing our relationship with the community. We are out there during special events, walking patrols, shaking hands, talking to people, getting their input on problems, and collaboratively working together to come up with solutions. One good example of that is the awareness program, the education program that we did, the 9 p.m. program, right? We remind residents to lock their doors, turn on their alarm, and the impact that that's had on a lot of the thefts and burglaries, right? Where these bad actors left empty-handed because we've been working with the community and they've been minimizing these targets.
That's one of the advantages of having areas incorporated, and that you can have a city, have that connection to not just the government, but the police departments as well. Sorry, Miami-Dade County, you haven't gotten there yet, all right? But that's, again, the big advantage, whether it's South Miami or Coral Gables or Pinecrest or Palmetto Bay. And since you talked about collaborative efforts, tell us about some things you might be doing with Palmetto Bay and Cutler Bay.
We work with Palmetto Bay typically during special events and also through crime prevention programs. We share a lot of intelligence. Our detectives are communicating with their counterparts at Palmetto Bay. and sharing BOLO information, suspicious vehicles, suspicious persons, trends, and really learning from each other. We don't have anything in the near future that we're doing together, but this is happening all the time, really.
Let's talk about traffic enforcement. People love the policeman except for when they get a $150 ticket or whatever it costs nowadays. Tell us about how the city is keeping people to stay within the speed limits as best you can.
Yeah. That's challenging when you're trying to change people's behavior, right? The system works typically through punitive means, right? So they're fined. We have red light cameras. We have speed cameras now in our school zones, and just very proactive officers in traffic. One of our main complaints from our residents is traffic related, right? So as you know, we've had a decrease in crime steadily. We keep hitting record year after record year. But the same thing, the one item that persists is traffic, speeding. And that's what the residents want. So we're out there making contact with people, educating them, not necessarily giving them tickets all the time, but a lot of our traffic stops are written warnings, verbal warnings. The automated process of the red light cameras and the school zone cameras, the notice of violation that they receive. Yes, it hurts the pocket. And the idea is to make that part of the learning process.
Well, it does work.
It does work, right? So you get that $100 fine and you have to pay it, or it becomes a uniform traffic citation, and it slows people down. We've already seen an improvement since inception.
Let's talk about the school zone, because what's in my brain? Okay, and the school's done at 3:00. But that's not the case with the speeding, is it?
Right. School's not done it from bell to bell. But remember, there's still people and students.
How dare they walk to school and home?
Right. On campus before and after school hours. So the enforcement is throughout the entire day. Depending on the school, it's typically from like 6:30 in the morning till 4 p.m.
So even though it's past the school time, all right, they're still going to get a ticket of 10 minutes after 3.
Correct, depending on which school zone you're at. Yep. So pay attention to the signs. The information is posted on our webpage, and we've done a lot of campaigns to educate the residents about the times.
Not that it was my brother driving my truck, all right? Not that it was not him. I know that. 2 tickets, same schools, one side and then the other.
One direction, then coming back. Good job.
Those were $150, I think. City South, it was $100 or $150, but it was enough, like, to wake us up.
Right. It should be around $128.
So people want to know how much either from the school zone or a traffic ticket for speeding, how much does the city wind up with out of that total amount?
It depends on more or less. I would say it's probably around $30, $35. Okay. But it varies if it's a uniform traffic citation, a notice of violation for the red light cameras, and one for the school zone camera. It's a fraction of the total amount collected, and it's used for running the program, our school crossing guards.
Let's talk about when somebody says to a police officer, "What about me? I wasn't the only one speeding. Look at him. Look at him right now driving down the street." So what is it? You're smiling. You can't wait for this. All right. What do you say to somebody who says, "Look at them"?
Right. We can't catch everybody.
and we got you today.
Right. We got you. But the good thing with the camera is that it's really a force multiplier. It allows officers to answer calls and not be tied down to a specific location, because it's doing the work all the time.
It takes a while to pull somebody over, to check all their stuff, to write the ticket. Typically, how long might that take? Let's say there's no problem.
15 minutes.
Right. How many times a day do you want to have to do that before you go, "Oh my God, I just spent like an hour giving out traffic tickets"?
Right. And they're dangerous. Nobody wants to be pulled over. Nobody wants to receive a citation. And sometimes you're interfering with somebody who might be doing something criminal. So the traffic stops work as a deterrent to keep people from speeding. It also allows us to maybe collect information and run into people that might be in the area without good reason, bad actors. So yeah, that happens as well. Sometimes it's people who have warrants.
So, Captain, we know that every time a police officer gets out of his car, goes up to an unknown car, it's got to be a little bit stressful, wondering, is this the guy Does he have a gun in his car? All right. Is he a bad guy and going to create a problem? If you were going to guess, what are the figures that come back at? How many cars in Miami-Dade County have a gun in them? More or less.
This is just an educated guess on my part. I would say at least 50%.
Right. So that means every other car, more or less, for sure, every third car.
I would think so.
I just can't imagine what that's like. So how does a police officer get their head about them right? Say, listen, this might happen. I'm aware of it, but you don't know what that person's going to do. How do you get in that space?
Right. That's a great question. Officers, obviously, we're human beings. And we at times suffer from complacency, especially if you're doing 10, 15, 20 stops a day. The complacency is one of our enemies, actually. We need to be prepared. We are prepared mentally to expect the unexpected, really. We don't know what's going to happen when we approach that vehicle. We don't know the day that driver's having or whomever else is in that vehicle. Likewise, it's the same thing for the officer. Officers have private lives. We have problems. We have stressors, and we're not going to show up to work the same every single day. So there's a lot of self-talk that's happening throughout the day where we're paying attention inward, right? We're thinking, how am I feeling? Am I upset? Am I relaxed? Am I in a good headspace? So that we're constantly assessing so that our encounters are productive, professional, and safe.
Typically speaking, tell us about the stress for an officer when he goes out on a domestic call. Typically, I'm going to guess the husband beat up the wife or something like that. What is that like when you go, I don't know what's going to happen here, and you go in eyes open? What is that like?
Well, I would say the first thing we want to do is not go in there thinking typically it's the husband that beats up the wife.
I'm sorry, folks.
That's all right. So we have to go there with an open mind. It could be anybody, could be the primary aggressor. Right. And it hits home because a lot of the officers themselves are married, families with kids. Right. So it's hard not to stay objective in those situations. But through training and practice, right, we do a lot of exercises, scenarios to help simulate that. So when we really have to do it, we're better prepared.
We always see this thing on TV or radio. Well, one person got beat up. If a spouse has gotten beat up, is one of them going to go, or is it get to jail?
Right.
One is for sure, more or less.
I would say 99% of the times, if we can find the primary aggressor, that person will go to jail.
You know how people can avoid that? Don't do it.
Right. Don't do it.
Just don't do it, guys or gals.
Yeah.
Right? Just don't do it.
Yeah. We should. It would be nice for us to put out their information. When these arguments start to escalate, take a time out, know how to self-regulate, learn how to do some breathing exercises, break contact, choose the right time and place to have these discussions. I mean, you certainly don't want to have a heavy topic discussion with your spouse right before bedtime or before work as you're heading out the door, or when you've already had a bad day, if you will. So pick the right time and try to avoid it as much as possible, obviously.
Yeah, you could do it in church or synagogue.
Right.
Perfect place
Right.
to do that. So I see, I don't know if she's making a motion to be over here, but let's talk a little bit more about the programs that the Village of Pinecrest has that is a benefit to the residents.
All right. Police Explorers. Okay. So this is a great way to have your teenage son or daughter come down to the station, learn about police work if they're interested in the criminal justice system. As volunteers, they help us in special events, help direct traffic, learn about the police culture, and really get to do ride-alongs, get on the radio from time to time, and get a feel for what it's like to be a police officer.
What's the minimum age for that?
14.
All right. So when the kids come out, do they get all excited?
Yeah, they're.
And 10 years later, there they are.
We've actually had a lot. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but we've had a handful of police explorers that have become officers. So it's really incredible to see that progression.
Let's talk about the brotherhood of police officers. And I say that gender neutral, all right? What is that like when you're there and these are the brothers that you work with, whether it's in Miami-Dade County, the police department, or all over the country? What's that connection like for you?
You have some tough questions today. The connection, the brotherhood. we are brought together in this profession typically the same way we see people come together during natural disasters. I would say that psychology applies to law enforcement and just first responders in the military. There is something about these challenging situations that really builds connection between people. And you're in difficult, sometimes life-threatening situations, and you really depend on the person that you're working with. So it's hard not to develop that bond, to really just care and just have this brotherhood between you and your coworkers. It just develops naturally.
And what percentage of uniformed police officers, including detectives, are women?
In Pinecrest, we're over 25%, which is above the national average. I think the national average last time I checked was around 12 to 14%, but at Pinecrest Police Department, we're upwards of 25%.
And why do you think that is?
My take on that is, being part of the interview process, we just have a lot of fantastic female candidates that are in the running for the position, and they outperform other people that are applying for the job. I don't have.
And they like Pinecrest maybe too.
And they like Pinecrest too. A lot of the officers choose Pinecrest because we are community centric. They see us a lot on social media, interacting at special events, and that's very attractive to them.
So tell us how AI is affecting or going to affect the type of work that you do.
We're going in all directions.
That's ADD is a wonderful thing.
Okay, so AI in law enforcement, we've already seen some of it in intelligence gathering, report writing, training, just normal clerical and administrative duties in the office. So we're utilizing it as much as we can, but also cautiously to protect people's privacy. So we can't over-rely on it. And the Village has in place what AI we can use and we can't use.
So, and when we look at this, and I tell our young people, whether you're going to be in that field or not, you have to have a working knowledge of it so you can have a conversation, because that might be the difference in one, saving a life, or two, getting that job because you went out of your way to become educated in that arena.
Right.
And we understand, and most people do or should understand, the impact that it's making. And for the people that remember the onset of the internet, if you think that was something, this thing is blasting off. It's huge, huge, huge. And so we hope that people and future police officers understand the concept so they can have a conversation with some folks. And so here we are. We got a couple minutes left. All right. I know you've had plenty of people that have helped you along your way, maybe some mentors. All right. And see this camera, right? Oh, you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that your audience gets to see the actual blue envelope.
Let's get the camera. There we go.
Show it to that camera right there. Perfect. So here's our blue envelope. We are months ahead of the state, just because we're a smaller agency. We can get things done rather quickly. And
that's not because of the size of the agency, it's the influence.
Right. And we have Chief Goen, and actually Derek Bowman, our deputy chief, is the one that brought this program to life. And we got it up and running in a couple of months. We worked with NAMI and UMNSU CARD. We've actually mailed out this material to them. They are going to be able to funnel people to this program, right? Because they have direct contact with a lot of people on the spectrum. And the nice thing about this envelope is that it gives you important information immediately. First of all, if you want to, they can place this decal on the back of their vehicle, and it would either represent that they support the program or they're a part of the program. So as soon as the officer sees this, they already know, there might be someone in this vehicle that is on the autism spectrum disorder. And then on the envelope, it tells information for the driver, right? So it's information that the driver might want to share about their condition, right? Things that might be.
And where did somebody keep this?
They would keep this in their glove compartment, right. And inside they're going to put their registration, insurance, maybe their driver's license, and they'll present it to the officer. The officer will will be able to look at it and say, oh, okay, I'm dealing with this, maybe anxiety, and then they'll adjust. They might turn off their lights. They might slow down. They might understand that the delay in response is not because the person's being belligerent. It's just part of their communication. So that's the Blue Envelope program. These are ready for pickup now at the Pinecrest Police Department. You can email and we will send it out to you by mail. You can go to NAMI and pick one up. You can pick one up at Card as well.
By the way, Susan Holtzman was just here.
Oh, okay, Susan.
Right. Yeah, so they have a big walk. I think it's coming up next week.
Right. Pinecrest has a team. It's called Stride Therapy. Our goal was to raise $1,000. Last time I checked, we're still a little bit short.
How short are you?
$150, if I'm not mistaken.
We're going to cover that.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah,
so no more, folks.
Our superheroes are going to be out there on Saturday.
You make it out to Pinecrest.
You can just go right online and on their website.
Okay.
So our canine is going to be there. Our superheroes are going to be there. Our mental health awareness vehicle will be there, and several of our officers. So I'll be walking. Captain Edison Cruz will be walking as well. So it's a great time to interact with the community.
I understand it's very inspirational.
Yeah, it's it's very inspirational, and I feel personally connected with it because of my son.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because people sometimes, if they don't know somebody that has an autism-related member in their family, and you do, how old?
I started very young. My son is actually 28 years old. Sadly, or not sadly, it's just his condition. My son is nonverbal. He has self-injurious behavior, needs constant assistance. And you said something that really resonated with me earlier, which was with the person that you employed here as an intern. And the one big takeaway from my son till now is how much he taught me, how much he's taught his sister, who's a neurotypical 27-year-old girl who's in the Air Force. She's been very influenced by having a brother with special needs, and the people that Enzo brought together because of his condition. We've met incredible parents, incredible physicians, people from the community. And that's what Enzo's story has taught me so far. It's made me more loving, more compassionate. And it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing despite the adversity.
Captain, and you said so far, you didn't say ending, meaning so far, meaning there's more lessons coming.
There has to be more lessons coming.
And if people need some help, they can go to the University of Miami Card, which is a center for
autism-related disorders.
Okay. And also the Friendship Circle with our friend Rabbi Yossi Harlig.
Right.
And they have a lot of facilities available for lots of people.
Right.
So if they need some help, they can go to those two places or NAMI.
Yeah.
They can direct them.
Absolutely. Tons of resources. It's just a matter of going out there. Another name that comes to mind is Danielle Colombo. She's with NAMI as well. I hope I didn't butcher her name. She's a fantastic resource, especially for families. A lot of these conditions, they don't only affect the person with the condition, but it affects everyone in the family. So that's why it's important to educate the family, support the family as well.
Captain, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
We are lucky to have you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Let's look right at this camera right over here. Folks, which one? That one there. Folks, my brother, Grant, and I subscribe to the Disney rule, which is when you hug someone, don't stop until they do. Have a great day. Bye.